so I just started recording. I can turn the music down a little bit, it's a little loud.
For me, it's
Alright,
okay.
so this is your solo session, because
Hello,
you
YouTube.
have wandered off. So we'll see what
And
happens.
turned into a vampire.
We will see what happens to Joseph.
So yeah, last time I remember I entered this room just as I told this fella over here to pick up Rommel's. I didn't say his name because I'm acting like I'm not myself. I don't know Merrick Rommel. I was doing this weird fucking voice and stuff like that.
Yes.
And
Alright, so where would you like to head?
so last time I entered this seance room and kind of left off here.
So you haven't entered the seance room yet, but you do see a door
Oh.
here.
I didn't sense any more life except for Rommel here, yeah?
That is correct.
Oh, wait, let me go see if I put into my inventory the wanted sheets. I think I took Lorien's, Rohal's, and the Tieflings. I can't remember the name.
Beas Embert.
Embert, okay. Is it okay if I don't put them into my inventory, but just remember that we have those?
You should put them in your inventory. Just say,
Okay.
let's see, there were 3, I think. One from Lorien. I think one was from... Was it Rohan, I think?
Yeah.
And one from Beas Embert.
And
You can
then
just
there
put
was also
3 wanted posters. You can just put that.
Yeah. And there was also mine too, but I didn't take that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually don't know if I want to enter the seance room because, one, my true identity could be, found out. Fuck it. What's the worst gonna happen, right? I'll go knock on the door. Gently.
You knock on it, and you hear it echo a little bit, but you don't hear anything else. Nobody comes to the door.
I knock again.
There is no reply on this wooden door.
Is there a keyhole I could peek through?
There is.
May I?
You may. Make a perception roll.
One moment, good sir. If I remember perception, this. How did I do?
So beyond, you see a place for people to go to the bathroom. You see a stuffed bird, looks like a hawk. You also see a mirror on the wall, and you see a plant, and you see spiraling stairs that go downward into the floor. And when you peek through the keyhole, you also, especially with your expertise, believe that the door is unlocked.
I gently open the door.
The door opens.
And the mirror is this one here, right?
Yes.
I step in front of the mirror. Do I see my reflection?
You do.
Oh. By myth, and if Joseph knows, in this world, do actual vampires show up in mirrors?
They do.
Okay. I cannot just inspect this mirror just in case. It's like a normal mirror.
Sure. What would you like to do when you inspect it? What would you like to see about it?
if anything out of the ordinary sticks to me, maybe
Um,
arcane or maybe something triggerish.
okay, you can do either a perception or an investigation. You choose.
I shall do investigation.
Okay, make a roll.
That would be a 14.
It appears to be a normal mirror. You look behind it, and it just seems to have a normal back to it and everything.
Okay.
Where did I put my dice? I have virtual dice, but I'm looking for my regular dice. Huh. But I'm listening.
Do I smell anything different there if I just, inhale and smell?
Smells very musty. This whole place feels fairly musty, and everywhere you go, including here, is extremely cold. You feel no source of warmth.
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me because I'm dead.
Correct.
It still seems so foreign for me. Wait, was there a door here too? Or is this just something else?
There is a door there.
Oh. Well, I'd like to roll for sneak and go down the stairs quietly, if you allow it.
Okay, so that'll be a stealth roll.
Yeah, stealth.
Yeah, we're going to be using virtual dice on my end because I can't find my normal dice. I thought I had it right here.
That
Okay.
would be a 11 for stealth. I rolled pretty badly.
I see that. All right, so
Yeah.
you successfully go down the stairs.
I don't like this already.
So let's get your token on there. It's probably better if you drag it on. I still don't know how that works entirely.
There we go. I'm guessing I end up here. Or
Yes,
pop out
that's
here.
correct. That's correct. And you see, this is a large dome stone room, very cold, very musty, almost no light at all. You're able to see with your newfound dark vision in the dimly lit room. 2 stairs that go down, one to the left, one to the right, and a giant crystal ball in the center. You also see on that small round, or should I say large round stone table, a light dusting of white powder or dust covering the whole table. And there's also some fine string there. Yeah, you can also make a perception roll to see what else you might see in the room.
Yes, sir. A perception roll it is.
With a 10, all you see are fine threads kind of lying on the dusty stone table. You see a stone chair on the other side of the room. This place is very quiet. You hear like a low hum of just the earth of the mountain itself that you believe you might be in, as someone did mention you're in the Anamarca Mountains. And you can't see much else from where you are there. The crystal ball seems to be sort of gently and slowly swirling a purplish, cloudy color.
Do I feel anything off? Like, how to explain? Any energy in the air, or anything else I might detect?
You feel that it is extremely still and quiet in this room. You can only imagine that this is indeed the seance room, and it is private and quiet and still in here for the purposes of a seance.
Does this room feel like I shouldn't be here? Or is it like a restricted area, or is it like a place where everyone can come?
I will have you make an intelligence roll. Or also make a base wisdom roll.
Not one.
So with those rolls, you remember that you were directed here when offered to use the seance room by the man behind the bar. So based on that information, you feel that this is at your disposal. And you're not really sure what else to think of it. You do find it, with that wisdom roll, a bit unnerving and a bit creepy with that wisdom roll.
I shall quietly make it down the right side of the stairs. quietly come here.
Very good.
And I look at the orb.
It continues to gently swirl. It's very peaceful, actually. You start to get lost in it almost, staring at it.
Nothing else happens, eh?
Nothing else happens thus far.
Okay. Joseph looks at the throne and slowly walks to it. Standing in front of it, moving. It's just a regular stone throne.
Yes, make an investigation or a perception roll.
12.
You notice that it is also covered with a very finely ground, what appears to be stone or dust, something of that nature.
Everything, a lot of things that can stick to clothes. Is the ground dusty too?
There's some dust, but the whole room is not covered, only some parts randomly scattered about, it appears.
So the throne and the stone, okay. I'm going to take off my coat and fold it. And I'm going to sit on it, on the throne, to see if anything happens.
Nothing happens. The throne is extremely cold.
I stand up. I try to look behind my back. Like, are my pants dusty now? Probably are, right?
Just where your calves are a little bit, but not much to make a visible difference.
Okay, I shall put on my coat again and walk to the ball, and do I automatically know how to speak the vampiric tongue?
You've never tried it before. You're not sure.
But do I know that I know it?
You have a feeling that you're able to communicate in a new way, but you haven't tried it yet. And you've heard some small talk of the vampiric tongue in the casino area, which surprised you, because you seem to understand it, but you weren't sure if they were just whispers that you misunderstood or if they were indeed a different tongue, because it was subtle.
Joseph thinks for a little and tries to say to the ball in the vampiric tongue, "Hello."
The swirling clouds appear to slow even more. And that is all.
Also continuing in the vampiric tongue, I say to the ball, "Who or what are you?"
There is no change to anything in the room or to the swirling purple colors. They still remain slow, however.
Can you show me things?
The clouds in the orb start to shift. Make a... Let's see what roll we're going to do. Make a perception roll. They continue to shift, and some areas have more darkness than others. You see, with a 15 perception, what you think to be a silhouette of a person. Someone fairly thin and tall. And then you see a quick, black, darker silhouette quickly surrounded, and then there's nothing. There's no silhouette there anymore. You believe that you were shown the silhouette of somebody that was whisked away quickly by something else.
Who was that?
See the clouds slowly shift into the shape of what appears to be a dagger, and then they gently go back to swirling, slow purple clouds and black ink.
Is the person... I'm saying this in vampiric Gotham, yeah? Trying to speak vampiric. Was the person shown to me someone who I know?
The purple clouds show you the same imagery again of the silhouette and something, another silhouette, wider and faster, quickly whisk the person away.
And the dagger too, right?
The dagger's not shown this time.
Okay, so there was a thin silhouette and then like a bigger silhouette whisked it away?
Correct. Very quickly.
Is it me?
In the white dust on the table, you think your eyes are playing tricks at first, but then you see that there are depressions in the dust. They're slowly going down and other areas going up. And you see a symbol that you've never seen before. It's a single symbol. And somehow you understand it as a vampiric symbol for no. The word no.
Joseph thinks back. With this imagery, does this imagery spark some sort of a memory, something familiar? Rings a bell.
You can choose to do a history roll or an intelligence roll. History roll is often more for things that have like more of a historical like background and lore, but in my campaign I'll also use it as a way to retrace memories as well as intelligence, so you can choose which you'd like to do.
I shall do history. 22.
Ooh, 22. Looks like I'll have to give you some good information there. On all your travels, you've seen many horrific things. You've seen things that were going to stay with you for a very long time. You've heard many words of wisdom. You've heard many words of folly and everything in between. You've seen creatures that you never thought existed in this world, things that you thought might be mythical. But at only one point did you see someone get whisked away so quickly, quicker than any other death or dangerous peril. And that was when Nimlalwe was whisked off of the ship by the sea serpent. And suddenly you remember the frightful moment out of the corner of your eye where you thought you heard or saw something, or what people told you happened, that she was just pulled right off the side of the boat. You think that maybe this imagery was of her being taken.
This of Nimwale and her knife.
And suddenly you remember the significance of finding her dagger on the edge of the ship, the last thing that you've seen from her, relative of Lorien.
And also the flask of blood.
Correct. Before the battle ensued on the high seas.
Am I speaking to Nimwale?
The symbol of no in the dust slowly shifts into another symbol which you've never seen before, but somehow know that the word is yes.
Huh. Is there something you need to tell me?
Two symbols appear slowly in the dust. Two again that appear to be of vampiric nature, which you intuitively understand. And the two separate symbols mean at peace and thank you. It's a sign of gratitude. And before you can even say anything else or make sense of what those two symbols mean, you can see the imagery of a dark gateway or oval that appears to briefly flash light and slowly shimmer to a close, leaving the wispy smoke of the purple swirling color behind. And the light of the orb you notice shimmer on your skin, on little bits of your wrist and forearm, where it was once exposed at the closing of the rift. And without making a roll, you realize that this imagery is of the negative plane closing.
So from this imagery, I can... what's the word? Deduce? No.
Yeah, that works.
Deduce from that Nimwale is now at peace and glad that the rift has closed, or was closed.
Yes, make an intelligence roll as well to further make sense of things. 17, pretty good. You recall in the chaos and the danger when you were facing Golazar the Risen that he was almost driven to an addiction to try to use the rift for his own power, for saving loved ones, so on and so forth. And he was convinced that her spirit, Nimlalwe, who passed, would possibly be pulled from the negative plane through the rift as her spirit went from one plane to the next before finding peace. So it is no surprise that she perhaps was aware of the rift closing. Her soul might have been passing by when you were all able to close it finally, preventing Golazar from dragging on, which was unnatural and unnecessary and potentially impossible. He was able to retrieve Diranor's daughter from death. As you remember, Lorien was able to retain her soul in the circlet. So there is some truth to pulling spirits from the negative plane, but it appears that Nimlalwe is happy with her fate, and that she's no longer endlessly swirling around to the negative plane. so close to being pulled back and out of rest.
Joseph remembers when Nimole was alive, how when she was drunk all the time, throwing up, dry heaving, the black blood, and how she said that Rommel raped her. It was her, right? Rommel raped her.
She wasn't raped, but
Oh.
she was robbed after an encounter that they had overnight.
I completely remembered it wrong then, holy shit.
He was persuasive and dishonest about his intentions, and used his charm to seduce her, and then afterward robbed her when she was at a disadvantage, and woke up without a very important piece of equipment.
Joseph stares into the orb and asks, "Why have you come to me?" Nimole.
The symbols for at peace and thank you fade back into a still and smooth powder, and there is no further response from the orb. The clouds peacefully rotate again.
Joseph gives out a small sigh and says, "Be at peace, Nimole. Be at peace." And Joseph thinks for a little bit. He now understands that this orb can contact the dead. And his mind wanders back to when he was just a child and remembers his mother. And how she died of an unknown sickness, or... well, he can't remember how she died. And he thinks for a little bit and reluctantly speaks her name to the orb. Margareta Stravinsky. Are you there? Can you hear me?
The clouds slow, almost to a standstill.
I'm speaking to Margareta Stravinsky.
They remain at a standstill. There's no other change.
Mother? In his usual tongue now. The one he grew up with. He asks, "Mother?"
The orb does not change.
But the swirling slowed down, right?
Almost to a standstill, yes.
Is there someone here? I also give a quick look around the room to see if anyone has come here.
You do not sense anyone else in this room.
Any response from the orb when I asked, is there anyone here?
See that the clouds now come to a complete stop, and they're still. They're no longer rotating.
Do I feel anything sinister?
You feel nothing sinister. but you feel that there might be a presence listening to you in the orb.
Who is it who has come here? Please answer.
You see the silhouette of somebody in the clouds. And you remember your mother's silhouette, and you are saddened to see that whoever you might be communicating with is not her. Because the silhouette is not that of a woman, it is that of a stocky and short male who appears to be bald. It's a very clear silhouette, much clearer than Nimlalwe's silhouette this time. The person stands confidently, even in their fairly short stature.
Was Joseph's father a silhouette like that? If he remembers.
No.
No. Short, stocky, and bald. That sounds familiar. Can Joseph remember anyone of that description?
You can make an intelligence roll, but this will have to be extremely high.
23.
Damn.
That's your 20.
I hate your rolls today. They're too high. You remember that Sandro was short for a human, so short that you thought when you first saw him that he was a tall dwarf.
Oh yeah, our monk.
Indeed, indeed. And with that very high roll, you put together many pieces of information that all come together at the sight of this silhouette. You remember him standing so confidently always as he would. He was a monk and would put body and health and confidence first always. You also remember that when delving deep into the Paladin tomb, you remember Lorien investigating information about the negative plane and spirits and the void and the deck of many things, and how spirits
This is Sandro's orb.
And how spirits can become locked in certain objects. And the Enemarkin Mountains is where his temple of the ivory-faced monks were. You also believe that while his soul might be locked away somewhere, that this orb is some type of powerful vampiric blood magic that operates just as some kind of blood magic operated the gateway to the rift. You're not sure what this means. You're not sure why you're able to see him. And you can only imagine that this seance room is a way to connect with spirits that have not yet been put to rest. As Nimlalwe, you believe, just left for good. Believe that Sandro is not at rest. His spirit is still alive and active. But you're not sure where. You're not sure if that means he is in this orb. You're not sure if that means he's locked away in some object as the void card is supposed to, due to souls. You're uncertain.
Joseph gives out a quiet little sigh, inhales and says, I remember you.
Is this in
You're
common
Sandro.
tongue? Sorry to interrupt. Is this in common or in vampire tongue?
This is in common.
Okay.
I remember you. You're Sandro, the monk who was a part of the group. And I give a quick glance around.
Silhouette continues to stand there.
For a little short time, I focus on sensing life that might be invisible to the eye.
Where, in the orb or in the room or where?
In the room.
You see nothing that is being disturbed, nothing moving.
Okay. Why have you come here, Sandro?
You see the silhouette sit down to seated position, legs crossed, hands put together. And you see the head slightly bow, as if in great concentration. You remember Sandro to be a very disciplined person, someone who was an expert at meditation. And you see the dust write in common tongue the Order of Whispers. And you can make an intelligence roll to see what you know of the Order of Whispers. 17, not bad, not bad. So in real life, obviously, these bits of information can get lost at time as we play only every so often. So with a 17, Joseph would have remembered much more easily than Sid in real life. And so the Order of Whispers is one of the 4 different monk sects. As Sandro was in the ivory-faced, there was also the clear-minded, the feather-footed. There was the Order of Whispers was another one of them. And you remember what was told to you by Sandro during your travels about how the ivory-faced monks, the sect that he was with, lived in harmony with the giants and the frost giants. And they even spoke giant tongue and learned much of survival from the giants in the mountains. And many of their temples were built with some of giant bones within them in a form of respect to give life after life, so to speak, to giants who have passed, and respect them through their bones, and sometimes even make pieces of armor with their bones. And you remember that the Order of Whispers was a more tumultuous sect of monks that ended up wiping out the feather-footed monks. You heard of Lorien talk about adventures before he joined the party that involved going through one of the the feather-footed monks' monastery, the Terraces of Quietude. The Order of Whispers was also discussed when Diranor spoke of a dangerous dark power that is hidden away, has to do with Gonador. You know that the Order of Whispers is corrupted. They are the evil version of Sandro's monk sect. They're dangerous, they're disciplined, and they're known to hire devils as their sentry in the Plane of Ash. But you would need Lorien and some of the others to make sense of it all, as you don't remember the rest. And you're not sure why Sandro might be trying to communicate with you through meditation, from death, from having a locked soul, and you don't know why he's trying to tell you, speak to you, or warn you about the Order of Whispers.
What about the Order of Whispers? Why do you have come here to tell me about them? Are you warning me?
He continues to sit in that formation, and 3 words in common appear in the sand again. much quicker and much clearer than Nimlalway's words appeared. Again, this time in common, and you're not sure why the orb chooses to select different languages and different tongues to speak to you in. But the three words that come up are, my ancestors know.
I'm going to try and vampiric this time. Know of what?
As he sits there in his seated position, the still clouds around him begin to swirl. You still see his silhouette there. Black silhouette as the purple and dark spin around him. He seems to be undisturbed. And in Vampire comes symbols in the dust that say, much more clearly, my ancestors know the location of the Order of Whispers.
Where can I find your ancestors?
The orb and the colors and the clouds spin faster and faster, almost concealing him, almost concealing the seated silhouette of Sandro. They seem to move so quickly that you feel as if there's going to be light emanating from the orb. And you start to see the small, thin threads laying across the dusty table lift, and you see the silhouettes of Sandro practicing martial arts in the silhouette of the threads. It's almost comical in a sense. You see such a lively show of threads and shadowboxing and martial arts all around the orb. But at this moment you also hear the door open to the seance room. And somebody enters with a deep purple robe.
Have I seen this person before? Also, how big is the orb?
The orb is about 6 feet wide.
So it's pretty big.
About 7 feet wide, yes, pretty big. About 2 meters wide.
Joseph in Vampiric whispers, "Go!" And I try to even the area of the dust so it's not visible what was there.
The colors continue to swirl. The person standing on the balcony looking down upon you, as I mentioned, has a deep, deep purple robe. His mask is just a smooth white surface with barely visible eye holes.
Almost like mine? Wait, that mine had some features.
This mask has no features at all.
Okay. How did I see him before?
You don't think so, but you're not certain. There were many people in the other room, moving, and some of them with their backs to you.
I look up at him.
The person stares back at you. You can't track their eyes. They're too hidden. You're not sure what they're looking at. They're looking down.
Can I sense life from it?
You do not.
Okay. I raise my right hand as a gesture of greeting, silently.
Person turns their body, but their face is still watching you as they slowly come down the stairs. Make a perception roll.
Heads up, I might need to do a little break pretty soon.
That's fine, but just make a perception roll. 17, not bad. Not bad, not bad. This is a fairly quiet room, and you think you hear a little bit of jangling or jingling of something. You're not sure if it's coins or chain mail or plate
Weaponry.
mail. You're not sure what you hear, but there's some metal gently and quietly rattling as they make their way down the stairs and come closer to you.
I stay firmly footed,
Steadfast, I guess you can use.
I guess, yeah. Wait, what was the word?
Steadfast, or you stand firm, or
Mm-hmm.
hold your ground.
Steadfast.
The person walks even closer and slowly reaches out a left hand toward your mask, slowly enough that you make an insight roll. You're not certain, but you think that they're doing so in a non-threatening manner, slowly enough as to make you aware that they are reaching to remove your mask with your permission, without saying a word. So bring your mic a little closer.
As he does that, before he or she can grasp my mask, in vampiric and in the raspy voice, I ask, "What business?"
Without responding, their hand slowly continues to move toward your mask.
I start doing the same.
Very well. Are you doing so?
Slowly, like he or she.
Very well. So both masks are removed at the same time.
I remember her.
And so we shall take a break here. I'm going to stop the recording.
Yes. This Natalia, I remember seeing her before. Was she a part of the Silk Strands, or did we see her in... Wait, she was in the Fighters Guild, the party, right?
Very good. Very good. I'm impressed with your memory. Nice job.
And did she... Like, what was her story again? I think I remember her leaving.
So, here's
Or
the
did we
thing.
not...
So here's the thing. So you were with Rohal and somebody else during the Battle of Gryold.
Rohal and Dissa's character, which what was
Correct.
her name?
Yes, she's alive and well in Gryold. Her name was my name. You know, I have 100
Yeah,
NPC names. So.
Yeah.
But anyway,
With the little reptile.
so you were there, so you wouldn't have knowledge too much of what happened in the city center. And even the party members who were there were so, like, overwhelmed with things happening that I don't even think in real life or in character they would fully remember Nathalia's presence there. So that I can tell you after we play, but in character you wouldn't know her situation there. But you do remember her in the Fighters Guild, and you do remember that she was potentially somebody that could have been hired to join on the Stygian, which is the ship that you rode to Northold in. And you all ultimately didn't really decide to talk with her much. She was fairly quiet, and she left the party almost before everyone else.
Does Joseph still remember her name as Natalia?
So make an intelligence roll, and I'll give you several pieces of information if you do have a high roll.
Intelligence, yeah?
Mm-hmm. 18, damn you.
Fucking hell.
What is with these rolls today?
Three.
You do roll high, though. We gotta make sure you don't have your thing on, like, incorrectly or something. Anyway.
Bro, remember usually last time we played I rolled super low usually.
So you remember,
session-
well, you roll high
Sorry.
when you have to, like, roll for life or death, though.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's funny.
Anyway, so you remember that her name is Nathalia. You remember her to be fairly pale. You remember Giva giving her stern looks in the Fighter Guild's assembly. You remember that she just didn't talk much, and people were not really drawn to her. They were drawn to... You remember Gallo really being charismatic and boisterous, and people kind of talking to him. You remember speaking a bit with Aldwulf over a glass of something. And you remember the Turtle being very uplifting and outgoing and kind of happy-go-lucky, but you remember her just not having much of a presence, and people kind of walked past her a lot.
She was the silent one.
Yes, fairly silent indeed. And with an intelligence roll, well, I can't say much more actually. There's still much to be discovered.
Yes. Joseph has this moment of recognition, and in common tongue, you, Natalia, remember seeing you back at Greihold. What are you doing here?
She... make an insight roll, actually.
And you said I didn't sense life.
Correct.
Insight roll, right? Okay. Hey,
With a
there you go.
9, there's only so much you'll see. You do, with the insight roll, sense no life from her. She does look pale. She looks like she may be of your kind. And you also see that she is almost as surprised to see you as if she is confirming her beliefs looking at your face, that you are you, but even more so distracted by Sandro's silhouette in the orb, so distracted so that she ignores your question, and pushes forward onto the table and leans across the table, reaching out to the orb. You see Sandro look up from his meditative stance, and as he does, you sense distraction from him, and everything goes calm and his silhouette vanishes. And you hear her shout in common tongue, "No!" in common tongue. And all of the dancing threads that were so lively fall to the table, lifeless.
Can I make an insight roll to that? What just happened?
Unfortunately, the 9 covers it all. But
Roger
she
that.
turns back to you and says, "Was that Sandro?" in common.
Joseph looks into her eyes deeply and asks, "Were you also a part of the undead when you were at the Fighters Guild?"
She takes a moment to break from her train of thought because she seems so concentrated on finding Sandro, and you don't know why. You don't know who she is to him, but she clears her thoughts for a moment and then responds and says, "Yes, I have been for many years. It's not something that I let people know at the time, and I think Giva sensed an evil in the room at the time, which is why I felt it not pertinent for me to join the party." And you do recall, Joseph, that on the ship, Giva made mention of an evil presence in the Fighters Guild assembly.
Yes, I do. So you were the evil presence there. Interesting.
Quickly
But
replies,
now,
"Not evil by nature, only evil by what I've become, as you are."
so you still possess your own soul.
I do. I am not like the others. I am vampire like you. And it is because of Sandro that I am vampire.
A little... Joseph's one eyebrow kind of raises a little bit in surprise. So he made you a vampire.
Shakes her head. No. I can't explain now. We have to rush, but I was vampire for years, and when he drew the void card, I can't explain now. Merrick is assembling the others. He knows you're in here. They'll be coming down to capture you soon. You must follow exactly what I say, but just come quick.
Can I do an insight roll to if that was genuine.
Certainly.
Inside here. I
4.
guess.
All you know is that that is what she's telling you, and you have indeed met her before, and it appears to be her.
Joseph says, okay.
Alright, so the two of you rush forward, and there's a stone door that you didn't notice before underneath the walkway, as you can see there. Bear with me for just a moment. We're going to make this token a little bigger, and then we're going to drag you in here. Alright, so if you can be so kind as to drag your token on here.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to have to resize the tokens just a little bit. I'll make you bigger, hang on. Here we go. That's better. You enter this room, you see that it is much like many vampire lairs. There is no warmth. It's cold. The cold of the mountains bites straight through the stone walls. You see a giant's skull. Without making a roll, you know that it is a frost giant. However, its teeth are a little pointier than you would like, begging the question, did they make a vampire frost giant? But urgency takes over those thoughts as you see 3 glowing orbs, one blue, one light blue, and one yellow, surrounded by what appeared to be some vampiric symbols and blood magic. Across the room you see a stone desk, very unkempt, has not been touched in days or beyond. There is a magical lamp producing non-heated eternal light, and several books strewn about, a map, and some old weapons. Rotted food, because vampires don't need food. And a pile of bones to your right, which appear to be that of all kinds of bipedal individuals. She rushes forward to the giant's skull, which appears to be a piece of whatever this blood magic is. It says, "Hurry, rush. You must come this way." What do you do?
I do as she says. Actually, it says, wait, and I rush over to one of these weapon boxes. Are there any weapons that haven't rotted away or can be of use?
Yes, you see a long sword there, and you see a war hammer. They, roll investigation on them. You see that they are not necessarily clean. They have some mold on them, and even some dried blood. But they appear, the blade appears sharp enough, and the warhammer's handle appears to be sturdy enough to be usable. They are not in pristine condition, however.
I will better something than nothing. I will take the longsword, since now the only weapon I had was left at the door.
Very good, put that in your inventory.
Basic longsword, yeah?
Yes. As you stand by the weapons, you have a closer look at the desk. You see that there are some scribblings on the map, and you see that this leather-bound tome on your right seems to be kind of tied up by a thin strand of leather. On the map you see scribblings in black ink, and circles and X's, and some vampiric symbol as well. Symbols here and there.
I will fold the map, take the big notebook, put the map between the open tome book, close it, and if nothing else pokes the eye, so to say, of importance, then actually, is there anything else that I maybe should take?
You see some other small journals, and some of them have pages rotted away. The one by the light appears to be in fairly good condition, and this appears to have some vampiric writing on it. This appears to be also written in vampire, but appears to be fresher and cleaner. And you're not really sure what's in these little books.
I take the small notebook that is fresher, the tome book, and the map.
Very good. So put small vampire journal. You can write marked map, and you can write unidentified tome.
Hold on.
Yeah. And we forget what that is. Remind me that this is where you got it.
And, well, I guess I don't have a bag or anything, so just try to hold, well, the map between the big tome book. I guess I can just put them somewhere that they won't fall.
Do you have a jacket?
I have a coat.
Okay. The tome,
long
let's
coat.
say it's a little bit bigger in the picture than it is in game, so you can actually fit the tome in a pocket. The map can easily fit there, and the journal is smaller than the tome, so you can fit the journal in one pocket, you can fit the tome in another pocket. It will be bulky, but it will fit in the
It
pocket.
could work.
It'll be bulky, yeah. So it has the potential to fall out if you're like upside down or something, just keep that in mind.
So would my pockets have, like, lids that can button down?
Yes, however, you can close the pocket with a button on the one with the journal, but the one with the tome is
But
too
it's
fat.
too big.
It's too fat, yeah.
Okay.
It can fit in the pocket, but it's too fat to close.
Yeah. Well, after that, I still have the longsword and come to Talia. Okay, what you have in plan?
Nathalia says, I don't know what you said up there, but you gave yourself away. Merrick is not one to show his hand easily, and I overheard him in Vampire tongue. As I said, he's assembling the others, and you must make a decision now. This is what controls the portal gateway into and out of this area, and you must have come from somewhere in the south. Do you know where you came from? She asks.
I see, don't remember. Hold on.
So
It was Heldrin, right?
in character, it would be Esthold.
Heldrin.
The Isle
Est-
the Isle of Est, which is the Heldrin is on the Isle of Est, so you can say Heldrin, yeah, or the Isle of Est.
Yes, I do. The Isle of Est.
She points to the light blue orb over there, and she says, "That must have been where you came from then. So we must make a quick decision. Are you going to go back to where you came from, or are you going to come with me?" And she points to the yellowish orb and says,
Where are you going?
"I'm going to save Sandro. He saved me without knowing it, and I'm going to do the same. Are you going to help me or not?"
I'm in. Let's go.
She grabs the orb and mutters a word or two of incantation, and it glows, and the others go dark. She says, "This is going to be dangerous, but we're going to have to make our way between here and all of the vampires to the exit." She puts her mask back on,
So do I.
and then she pauses and says, "No, wait." She hands you her mask and takes yours, grabs it out of your hand, snatches it out of your hand, and puts it on. She says, "Put that on.
I do.
And take this." She hands you a potion, something in a flask, and it appears to look like liquefied metal. And she says, "Only drink that, if there's no other way."
I'm guessing this is poison. Alright.
It's not poison, but it's your best chance of making it through. She says, "Come with me."
I put it in one of the inner jacket pockets. You know, the pouches inside it. Anyway, yeah, I think I said okay.
He rushes. You make your
rush
way
with
through
zero.
the seance room, and you make your way back up into the casino layer. Okay, so you two are together, and we are going to do a little bit of this. So, you're both up there. What would you like to do from there?
Hold on. 5D. I just want to know what the longsword stats are, so I
Right,
can.
right.
Yeah. So if there is a need, I can roll it a little quicker. 1d8 slashing. Oh,
Music bot.
let me see if I even have him with a voice. No, he's. Ah, there we go. Well, I basically stay with Natalia, and and with a little bit of a joking tone in my voice, I say, "Ladies
Okay.
first."
Okay. She
I
says,
read.
first we need to get the key. Knowing them, they would have locked the door out. So she pushes through the first door.
I follow her close behind. I'm holding the longsword with two arms, and
She says, I'm going to stay here and cover this door. You need to move forward and get through the other door.
so
Get the
she means
key.
this door here.
Get the key, she says, yes. You see her peeking through the keyhole to see if anyone is coming through.
I do the same on here over here.
Make a investigation roll.
1 second. 19.
Okay.
Hold on, I need to put the music bot down a little bit.
Yeah, please do. Okay, making a little bit of a peephole. You're seeing through. You also hear nothing on the other side of the door.
Okay, I open the door, being ready for any kind of ambush.
You realize that it's
Trying to be ready.
locked.
And I have no lockpick. I whispered to Natalia, why do you have some thieves tools to lockpick this with?
Says no.
Actually, never. Actually, fuck it. I pull back a little bit and I try to kick with my right leg, my strong leg, to as close to the place where the door is locked. You know, the lock mechanism.
Okay, make a strength roll.
Strength roll. Whoa!
You kick it so hard that the wooden walls around it rattle. But the door stands steady, and she says, "What are you doing? Don't make noise." And she looks back to the keyhole in a panicked look. She says, I thought you were a thief. Can't you unlock the door?"
No lockpicks! And I go in.
No, it's still locked. The door doesn't open.
Oh! I thought...
She says, "Think of something."
I have a quicker look around
So as you look around the room, you see this thing here, which is used for a variety of things, mainly bellowing fires or something. You're not really sure why they would need that. A broom. You see a candelabra with many lit candles. You believe them to be magical flame, just for the aesthetic. You see a nice, relaxing, lounging chair there, and you also see a skeleton figurine of rather large spider, about half a meter across, or a foot or two wide.
This might be stupid, but I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to get some like thin legs off of this thing.
So as you approach the spider skeleton, you do see that its legs are almost as narrow as some of your lock-picking tools. You just hope that they're strong enough, as lock-picking tools have to be very strong in order to force the lock.
I shall attempt to lockpick these things. With the...
So as you approach the lock with more of a mechanical mind than most, you notice that whoever crafted the door did an excellent job at reinforcing it. However, that came at a cost. The lock is a bit larger and easier to handle from within. Since you're using spider bones,
disadvantage.
Or petrified spider, you're gonna do a lock pick, which would be sleight of hand with disadvantage.
Or thieves' tools. No?
That would be sleight of hand either way. So well.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, hold on. If
Actually,
yeah,
I don't have thieves tools, but because like my thieves tools has a +10, so maybe if I'm using non-thieves tools, maybe I should just roll sleight
yeah,
of
it
hand
would be sleight of hand with disadvantage.
disadvantage. Yes. 17.
Not too bad. The door swings open, and you're able to go through.
I go in.
You see on the table a flail and some pouches, and some gold and silver strewn across the top of the table, and some little scrolls, a magically lit fireplace that emanates no heat. Make a perception roll.
Is it a lever I see here?
Depends. What's your perception roll?
uh, perception. 32.
It is.
What
easily,
the fuck are
it
these
is,
rolls?
It is. It is easily seen by you. Very easily seen by you.
I quickly make it around the room. I see no key here. That's the most likely the thing that opens the door, right?
You do not. You see some war hammers. You see some gold and silver, and you see a flail and a lever.
I shall go behind the table, pull the lever, and also for for being a thief's sake, I shall take one or two of these pouches, most like the closed ones.
Very well. You feel that they're full of something that jingles, which is always a good sign.
I shall take 2 of the closed pouches.
Very well.
I shall
Add those to
put it-
your inventory. Unknown contents.
Unknown contents.
You hear a whisper from the
And-
other room. Hurry, she says.
And I come back around and say, no key, but a lever. I pulled it.
She says, "You're the expert. Just figure it out. This is not my thing."
I did pull the lever, correct?
Depends. Do you want to? You didn't make that clear to me.
Yes. I thought I said I'll pull the lever and take the pouch. Okay.
The door up here swings open.
Over here. A door open over here opened.
Find the key, she says. This room opens.
Oh god.
You see a couple things.
Well, I see the keys right next to me.
You see several things. You see a golden skull on a chest. You see piles of gear, a backpack. You see an unlit torch. You see a lamp, an oil lamp. You see some jewelry and a whip. You see 2 different whips, some gems. You're not really sure what to make of it all, but you're overwhelmed. You do see keys, and you do see human body parts and half-elven body parts in a cage, and blood spilled across the floor.
Is this sword actually here?
It is there.
First of all, I take the keys. And I come to the longsword, the golden longsword, and give it a quick look. Is it a practical weapon?
It is a practical
better.
weapon. It's in much better condition, and you believe that if you put 2 and 2 together, this might be the gear from whoever's body that is.
Well, I will drop my, well, less sturdy longsword and take up this golden one. Is it in any way special? Besides looking golden? Is it actually golden?
Make an investigation.
1 second. What the Okay, 26. That's 20.
Oh my.
That's I'm getting concerned.
That's pretty high. That's pretty high. So it appears to be a masterwork adamantine longsword, which is technically not in 5th edition, but I like it. It's basically sort of like a +1 sword, but non-magical. A non-magical +1 sword, if that makes sense. So you can
it's an
write,
adamantium.
you can call it masterwork longsword.
Shall I put a +1 there too?
In parentheses, yeah.
Okay, Masterwork Longsword. Okay, I shall take that and rush out with the keys and the Masterwork Longswords.
Right. And so there are 3 keys on that ring. So you have the keys and you're making your way here.
Yeah. 3 keys.
Correct. All right.
I say to Natalia, 3 keys. I show her the key ring.
She says, right, let's go.
Did you notice the sword?
She didn't make much note of it. Whoops, there we go. Okay.
Whoa.
So what do you
Did you
want
feel the
to
crunch?
did you want to move did you want to move forward, or how did you want to do this?
Well, I am following Natalia and I say to Natalia, ready when you are.
Okay. And what are you wearing? Are you wearing
So what I have on my person right now,
Mhm.
well, as you know, I never wore armor, so my armor class is still 13. So what I have on is my fine clothes, my overcoat, my fine leather shoes that are probably not in the best condition, my brown leather gloves. Actually, let me take off this bracer with a blade. I don't have it right now anymore. And yeah, that's all I have.
Are you
I don't
wearing
even have a
are
hat.
you wearing a cloak or a robe or anything?
No, nothing. Just my overcoats and my
She
mask.
turns and looks at you and throws her cloak over you, and let's see here. And so, yeah. Yep, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, and well, then I'm going to try to hide, like hold the sword in a way that it's under the cloak, hidden, but still can be quickly, used if needed.
Very well.
Try,
And
try to look inconspicuous.
so even though you're wearing the cloak, we're gonna keep that mini for you, so we know who you are, right? Okay.
Yes.
When
yes, yes.
when she removes her cloak, you see that she is wearing plate mail over a chain shirt, and she has a battle axe. The battle axe looks pretty badass. You think it might be magical, but that's not your expertise, so you're not really sure. And you also see that she has the battle axe kind of holstered awkwardly at her side, and a javelin across her back as well, which also looks extremely shiny. You're not sure what it's made of, you're not sure it's magical, but she looks equipped.
Joseph gives an up and down glance and says, "Well played."
And you have no idea what her specialty is, but based on what she said, it's not picking locks.
Yeah. I can see that.
And she says, remember, if things are not looking good, drink that potion.
I give a nod. Ready when you are.
She takes a small vial out of her pocket and downs it. She drinks it. And when she does, her appearance looks like one of the people wearing cloaks. She looks like one of the dealers in the casino. She drank something that makes her look a lot like one of them. And she even looks a little taller now as well. And she was tall to begin with. She pushes the door open. Make an insight roll as you walk, or perception, your choice.
Insight or perception, hold on. 16. Perception.
You see everyone in the room watching both of you as you walk across the room. Perception 16. You see her raise her fingers on her left hand gently, and you're not sure what that means. She doesn't look back at you, but you see her subtly raise her fingers. You're not sure what to do about that.
Many fingers, like all of her fingers.
She raised like 2 or 3 of them gently as she faces the door. And I don't know, what'd you make of it?
I sense for life.
You sense through the wall one heart beating.
Most likely Rommel.
She opens the door before you know what to make sense of. One moment. This door is unlocked, and she opens it herself and walks through.
I'll do the same.
You see many robed figures looking your way. You feel a cool breeze emanating from this area as you did the first time you came through this hallway. These doors appear to have still air. She walks forward through the crowd, and they all look at her. You sense the heartbeat coming from this individual here. You see this person grab her arm.
She took my mask, right?
Take a perception roll. She did. Oof, only a 10. All you get from this is that you see that this is the locked door between you and escape, and you also feel that this person is the only one with any life in them. He now is holding her by the wrist.
What is she doing?
She stops in her tracks,
I shall
and as
go
she stands still, the others slowly turn.
Like surrounding us?
Surrounding her.
I shall try to unnoticeably go past them.
That's gonna be
Do
a
I-
stealth roll.
Yes. 19.
You and your rolls, Joseph. You and your rolls. They seem so distracted and so convinced that they have you that they start... they grab this arm as well. They have her in place. And now there's no mistaking their aggression.
I shall quickly start trying the 3 keys.
Before you,
Silently.
before you get the first key out, you hear Merrick's voice say, Joseph, Joseph, so you thought you could get away so simply. Clearly this is an illusion. My hand is going through the robe.
I with haste am trying to find the right key.
Okay, so try the first key. And I need you to roll, in roll 20, a 1d3. Let's see what you get there, Joseph. If you roll a 3, you get the right key. If you roll a 3, you get the right key.
What the fuck?
Okay, so the door opens and you see the portal door on the other side still making that gentle whooshing sound that you heard. They rip the mask and robe off of her. The illusion that the potion awarded her is gone, and she says, "What on earth are you doing? I followed all the casino rules." And quickly they start looking around the room and they look at you.
My hand comes to the mask. As I slowly remove it, a vile grin. I'm grinning, and my eyes glowing. Hello, Rommel. Long time no see.
Make a perception roll.
Ugh. There you have your bad rolls.
Okay. Let's see. Perception 5.
That's no way to treat a lady, you know.
So, although you cannot see necessarily what he may or may not be doing, what he may or may not be thinking by the expression on his face, you do see that for a human, for a rogue, he does seem to be pretty tricked out. He's got a really flashy studded leather armor. The studs are shaded in like a greenish bronze. They're polished. He's got kind of a subtle looking leather cap on as well. I'm sorry, not a leather cap. He's got a super shiny crossbow that he has at his right side on his belt. He has some other blades on him. You can't make them out because they're concealed by a small cloak, a short cloak that goes to the nape of his back. You see that he has an amulet that is concealed by his shirt. You just see the chain, silver. And you also see several other shiny bits and bobs peeking out from different areas of his leather armor. And you have a feeling that, and you've known him, you've heard about him from the party, that he has some strange fixation on magical and rare items. So you know that he has powers that could outmatch you in a one-to-one fight. And he simply says, "Get him."
There you go.
These vampires are not chasing after you, including Nathalia. And you think that perhaps she's blending in with the others.
Wait, what?
She's also chasing after you, but you believe that perhaps she is blending in with the others.
Can I make kind of quickly, as I start coming, when I start backing up, can I make a quick insight on her?
Certainly. Make an insight roll. 22. So, you're making some good rolls, man. You're making some good rolls. You're lucky because think about if you made all bad rolls today. Think about what could happen to you.
Yes.
So, right before he says, "Get him," they're no longer holding onto her arms. They're no longer fixated on her. They seem to have bought her quote, just saying, I followed all the rules. Why are you accosting me? I have nothing to do with this person. You see disappointment and sorrow in her face, knowing that you have vampires and Merrick Rommel coming after you. She's sorrowful. And you see her put her mask on, and you believe that she is just blending in with them for now, and will help how she can, when she can, if she can. But for now, you are being chased by several vampire and Merrick Rommel.
So
And you
what
see
I do...
him. You see him quickly unholster his light crossbow.
So
And it
what
is
I
shiny.
do...
Oof, it is so shiny, and he's trying to get a shot, but there's people running in front of him. Go on.
So what I'm going to try to do is that I'm going to try to flip my cloak off from me, and as I turn to run, in a way, I shall try to throw them in the way to kind of obscure me, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And as I do that, I shall try to make haste for the door, for the portal.
Okay, that's going to be a sleight of hand.
For the throw, right?
For the throw of the cloak, yes.
Nah. Not the best. So it's 30. Do I still have my bonus action?
That was a bonus action.
Okay, so with 30 feet of movement, I can get exactly here with one of my goes. Or are we doing this in a roll, or are we going to roll to see if I can get away?
For now, we're just doing distance. They are moving just as fast as you, it seems.
Let me just one second. Let me just go into my inventory real quick. Did I have anything on me? I still have my circular discs. Okay. What next?
So, she appears to be running the fastest, and you hear a roar from her. A roar like nothing you've heard from a woman before. Make an intelligence roll. Five. It just sounds like she's distressed. She's distressed and just pushing harder than any of them. You believe it's equivalent to, say, like a dash bonus action, but she's no rogue, so you're not sure where she's getting this burst of energy from. Are you making your way for the portal, yes or no?
With her, if possible.
Yes. So without making any rolls, you have the speed that they have, and you're ahead of them already. And you believe that she used some kind of dash action of some sort. You both. So here's your last chance, Joseph. You see it in front of you, nothing but white snow and harsh winds and mountain terrain through the portal. Do you turn back and try to face several vampire, several of them with magical weapons? Or do you leap through the portal with Nathalia right behind you?
I will go with Natalia. I will leap through the portal.
The two of you leap through first. Make a perception roll as you leap through. $16, very good. As you leap through, you see nothing man-made in this terrain except for one marble pedestal, and on it, one of the pink otherworldly crystals. And as you both hurtle through the portal, mid-air she takes out her battle axe and swings at the crystal, shattering the crystal before she lands in the snow. And as the crystal shatters, the portal behind you closes. And you are both now in frozen, icy terrain in the middle of the mountains.
I'm guessing there is cold winds and stuff like that, right?
Yes. Thankfully, you are a vampire, otherwise you would die in a matter of minutes from the cold. And so that's where you are.
I guess we can close this music now.
Yes.
Joseph kind of gets up, looks around, dusts off the clothes that he has, and are they everything that I took with me still there in the pockets?
Yes. But you see that the tome is in the snow next to you. It did fall out of your pocket as you made the leap.
I shall pick it up and put it into my pocket again. So, that was quite something. What was that? I asked him. The roar. Her. Sorry.
You see her temples pulsing, and she's heaving and breathing heavily. Even though vampires need not breathe, she is breathing, and she says, "In times of need, I find the energy I need when I let the rage fill me." And so you believe she's some sort of berserker, some sort of barbarian berserker, not like the controlled warrior that you've seen Falmanar be, of equal prowess in combat, but perhaps more primal. And that's why she was able to run ahead of the other vampires for the portal.
Impressive. So, where next?
This will be difficult to navigate, but we need to find the ivory-faced monastery somewhere in these mountains. And so she puts her battle axe on her belt and turns to you.
Well, me not having anywhere to put my sword, I guess I can just try to put it somewhere in my belt. Do you happen to have a spare holster for this, and I just show her this sword.
She unstraps a leather belt from her left thigh, and that kind of goes up along the back as well for support. It goes along the back and thigh to stabilize the weapon, and she tosses it to you. And she takes the mask that she was wearing and cracks it over her leg and throws the pieces into the snow.
Well, I dropped mine before, so that's good. I still have her cloak too, but I suppose we have no need for this cloak anymore, do we?
She says it's only a matter of time before they get the portal up and running. We need to make haste. They will be on our tail. Merrick is not
Just
one
dropped-
to let bygones be bygones.
Oh, I know that. I dropped the cloak, put on the holster my sword, and take out the tome and the map that is in between the tome book. Put the tome book back and say, at least we have some sort of a map. And open
She
it.
walks through the snow, which is about shin deep, and she takes a look at it and says, "This is not going to be very helpful.